That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Fairly learned here.
Welcome to MOTN Reviews, that is Masters of the Nerdiverse Reviews, where we take a view at some of the shiniest cinematic supernovas of the Nerdiverse and some that are not so brightly lit. You can always find this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and YouTube, and iHeartRadio. We're almost everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost everywhere like a cosmic plague that's like resting dormant in Mars that eventually we'll find and unearth, and then we're screwed.
Or like a VD.
Or like what?
Nothing.
That's always unearthed. The gift that keeps on giving, right? Yeah. I'm, of course, your host, Mike G. And with me, as always, is Beer Business Bureau's own Darren.
What is up, guys? What's up?
We are here to destroy mythos and open up minds, ladies and gentlemen. The film we're going to talk about this time around, you've read the actual title, so you pretty have a good idea of what we're going to be talking about. But at this point, it needs no introduction. This thing is a powerhouse, man. Like, I'm surprised at its numbers. In its 4-day span, not only has it made more money than Justice League made in its entire run, but there's also 25 other superhero movies that it's actually toppled at this point. And not just for 4 days, for their entire run. This thing is on set to make probably $1.5 billion. It's not even been a week.
Yeah, I know. It's on track to dethrone Force Awakens.
Good, man. What's funny is all filters back to Disney, which is kind of a messed up thing when you think about it.
It's a sick reality, but it's one we have to live in.
It's one we have to live in. And of course, the film we're talking about this time around is 2018's, directed by Ryan Coogler. And that film is?
Black-Panther.
Black-Panther. Oh, man. Before we go too deep into the film, I did want to ask, did you have any prior history of this character before this movie?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I've Black Panther has been around longer than I have, longer than you and I have.
Yes.
And I mean, if you've watched any sort of Marvel cartoon, I mean, specifically, like, my experience was with Spider-Man, the animated series.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s. He's everywhere, but at the same time, he was kind of nowhere.
He was nowhere.
Yeah. And, this movie definitely put him on the forefront, which it was going to do anyway, but it did more than just that. It actually put him seriously on the map.
It leapfrogged him past, like, your Iron Man or your Captain America, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because he is the highest grossing single hero of all time at this point.
Right.
Outside of Spider-Man, maybe Spider-Man 2.
Right. I kind of wonder if Jack Kirby ever imagined that his character would actually...
It's funny. I was watching an interview with Stan Lee many years before. This is before Marvel became Marvel. And they asked Stan, like, hey, out of the comic book characters you would like to see on the big screen, if it was ever to happen, who would it be? And Stan, being Stan, yucked it up and was like, well, if it's not my boy Spidey, then it would have to be Black Panther. And they were like, who? Like, right. Oh, T'Challa, he's one of my favorite creations. He's one of my favorite creations me and Jack made back in the 60s. And he's the perfect representation of what we were trying to do with our heroes.
Right.
And if you think about it, he really is. He's the perfect manifestation of what Marvel was about versus the DC culture, where in DC you have these pantheon of gods, right, that are kind of above it all. Batman is beyond mortal, right? Like Superman is beyond mortal, like in their staunchness and their truth, justice, and American way. But Marvel characters were never like that. They were always flawed social commentaries of the anxieties of the time. You know what I mean? To talk about just a couple of heroes you may know, the Hulk was kind of manufactured during the Red Scare and the atomic bomb drop that could happen at any time. What if it dropped on this one guy and made him a superhero? The X-Men is a huge example of social anxiety being represented through fiction, where the X-Men were the minority. They were picketed against and called slurs and rallied against, and they were the outsiders. And that's what Stan wanted to kind of interpret with the X-Men. Black Panther was in late 60s, early 70s, where the movement really started. Afro-American power really started. And he said they need a champion. They need someone that they can latch to. And that was T'Challa, right? King of the sovereign nation of Wakanda, the most technologically advanced, like, outside of Latveria, maybe?
Extremely technologically advanced.
They might as well be space aliens, right?
Pretty much.
And that's what this movie kind of conveyed, was like, these cats are on another level. And I was listening to another podcast. They made a really good point where it's like, it's almost like a Greek tragedy where the gods come down from Olympus and kind of give fire to man, but then they take it away.
Right.
And certain characters are man who are angry against the gods for not bringing them back to Mount Olympus.
Only it's almost kind of in the reverse, because they were, well, we'll get into that.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, in regards to prior experience with this character, he is one of those characters that if you're a Marvel fan, you've always known. Me being African American, my dad, outside of Tony Stark, who was his favorite character, always told me how sick T'Challa was. The Black Panther. He would buy me Black Panther comics just so I was well versed with this character. And my first experience, like outside of that, was the Fantastic Four cartoon back in the day. And one of the first episodes in the first season was they had to fight the Black Panther. And he beat them by himself. Right. The Fantastic Four. Yeah. These cosmic beings, technically. He beat him single-handedly. And I was like, wow, this character is cool. Like, Dad, I want to learn more about him. And that's where I was like, he's just always this periphery badass that never really shined by himself. He was always like, oh, we're in trouble. We need T'Challa's help. Oh, screw you guys. If it's not about Wakanda, I'm not really bothered with it, which we'll go into the movie, which is kind of not a change, but is a change in this movie.
I'd say it is. It's more of they've adapted him very well.
Yes,
in that way,
because they made something fresh, but they kept it. They kept two actual comic T'Challa,
right?
But they made him different.
He was always definitely about Wakanda, but it was more in the perspective of how can I protect Wakanda while still doing what I need to do outside of Wakanda. Exactly.
And that's kind of what they go into in this movie about the Black Panthers of old. Have always been T'Challa first, but we do need spies in the world to kind of keep an eye on mere mortals who aren't on our level. And T'Chaka, his father, was more about that. T'Chaka as a character was closer to comic book T'Challa than the T'Challa we get.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because in the comics, he's not all peace ambassador. No. He's like, if you show up to Wakanda, that means you want to fight. And you're going to lose because no one takes on Wakanda and wins. One of my favorite story arcs is during the Secret Invasion arc, where it was an arc where the Skrulls, which are these alien creatures that can shapeshift to look like anyone, have for years infiltrated the Marvel Universe. And so you had Black Widow was actually a Skrull. Beast was a Skrull. Things like that. And the real characters were like held captive somewhere. And when the time came for their plan in the spring, the Wakandan ones were already sought out and already being watched the entire time. And they tried to storm Wakanda, and the Skrulls got their asses kicked. And they had heads of the Skrulls outside of Wakanda, like, please try this again. No one messes with Wakanda, man. It's the freaking coolest. But yeah, that's a little bit of background on how I know this character and how much I love this character. Let's talk about this film on its periphery. Like, wow, this thing has a lot to say, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it has a lot to say, and yet at the same time, it keeps it very, very concise.
Yes, it doesn't preach to you. It keeps it very,
it's not preachy. It's very focused.
Yeah,
and it does obviously it doesn't leave much for interpretation. But
no,
you can make this movie however you want to make it.
Yeah,
and I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
it's especially because like what I've been my first impression was my very first concern with this movie obviously was talking about Wakanda. Like how are they going to introduce Wakanda?
How do you do that?
Because
right?
Wakanda has an incredibly large history, and you can go. They told about Wakanda's origins just enough, to where it doesn't leave anything to be desired. Yeah, not too much anyway.
Right,
and still give you the meat of what it actually is.
This makes me think of almost a disservice that they did with Thor and with the culture, the actual culture of I'm blanking on not Valhalla,
Norse mythology,
on Norse mythology and their actual homeland, which
Valhalla.
Valhalla / it's not called that in the comics though.
Oh, yeah, right.
Asgard,
yes. Sorry, damn it. What am I talking about? Yes,
Valhalla's heaven.
Asgard, sorry.
Asgard is where they live.
Yeah,
I was just blanking on the name. But in 3 movies, they never really explained the culture of Asgard. You know what I'm saying? But in this one movie, you are in Wakanda, man. You see it from the ground level. You see it from people picking, fruits and berries to them having technological marvels.
Right.
It really does its job world building this thing out in the short time because this movie is only like it's a neat 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours 14 minutes.
14 minutes, right? So it's like,
had they gone any longer, it would have been too much. And it would have been primarily talking about Wakanda. Absolutely,
or it just would have been a little bit more character building for characters that may not have necessarily needed it,
right?
Because with a lot of the characters, which we'll go into, their actions and their wordplay kind of tells you everything you need to know about them.
Yep.
Speaking of the characters, there's not one weak actor or actress or whatever you want to call it in this movie.
Not at all. And I mean, even Shuri,
she stole the movie to me.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
If I remember correctly in the comics, she was prominent, but she wasn't
she wasn't prominent until she needed to be.
Right, exactly. She was on an as needed basis, but with this, between her and Michael B. Jordan, they're really neck and neck in terms of
if she wasn't in the movie, Michael would have stole the movie.
Yeah.
But she's in the movie, so Michael has to take a back seat.
Right.
And it's only because she's piecemeal, right? You don't get too much of her wackiness.
Right.
It's just enough, and it's subtle enough to where it feels real. Like she's a teenage kid who's the smartest person in the room almost every single time.
Right.
So she's going to say whatever the hell she wants to say. And it just blew my mind. It's one of those movies where as I'm talking about it, I just want to see it again.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so damn good. How did you like the story progression?
I thought it was very well paced.
Yeah,
I thought it was really well paced, and even in the beginning, where they sort of do a segue into 92 Brooklyn. I thought
shout outs to Too Short.
Yeah, I thought my immediate fear right there was that this is going to derail a lot of things, but it was done just right.
It was done. Everything was done so just right.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because it set the way the story progression and plot has set the bar for Marvel movies is really high.
I was going to wait and hold that idea, but you took it from my brain. This movie is a call to action, not just for superhero movies, but for anything that's trying to give a competent narrative.
Yep.
This film is really going to, if this is where we're going for upward in regards to the type of talent and the talent's so good in this movie and the type of story progression we're going to get. I mean, I can't watch Ant-Man and Wasp and then hold it to the same candle as this, unless it's something nuts and it's something that's on this level. But this is really a call for everyone. You know what I'm saying? And I feel bad for the next superhero movie that has to come out after this because, I mean, how do you do it? You're not going to touch it, right?
Keeping in mind Avengers, but
Infinity War. It's funny. The 2 movies that are coming out this year are 2 movies that are the best Marvel movies ever, which is this by this young director and Captain America's Winter Soldier, which is directed by the guys who are doing Infinity War.
Right.
And I'm just Marvel kind of likes to get new fresh blood for all their movies. So, and Ryan's already talking about doing a sequel for this. He already has it in his head where he wants this to go.
Right.
And it's just a shame that certain people can't return to the ride.
Well, we don't know that just yet. Actually, there's some theories, but
we'll go
anyway,
into
yeah.
Did you want to go into the plot with this one?
Yeah, I do.
Let's go into the plot.
It's the best. It's the best part of this movie, honestly.
All right, so let's walk through it. So the opening of the movie is this crazy cinematic where they show the birth of Wakanda. Mm-hmm. And it's comic book accurate to the point where I almost teared up. Because we don't really get that a lot.
Yeah.
There's always liberties taken. There's always shortcuts made. But in this short little animated kind of origin story, it talks about from the beginning of time.
Right.
Vibranium, the strongest metal in the universe, it crash landed in the heart of Africa. And we've built a empire around it with these 4 warring nations that were fighting over their deposits. Mm-hmm. And the 4 nations decided that one king shall rule them all. And they have these tournaments in which that king is chosen. And I guess for the last 100 billion years, it's always the Black Panther that wins. Because I can't think of another time in the comics that anybody else was the king of Wakanda other than a Black Panther.
Right.
But just talking about that intro, and like you said, like you were talking about earlier, the 1992 intro, mm-hmm. that scared me at first because like, where are we going with this? And I was like, I hope we don't spend a lot of time in 1992. That was kind of where my head was. That's exactly
where my head was.
And we kind of see the Panthers because, am I incorrect in thinking that Oakland, California was where the Black Panthers kind of started?
Oh, the Bay Area, yeah.
The Bay Area?
The Black Panthers started in Berkeley, mm-hmm. actually. And then, long story short, like the Berkeley wanted to get them out of there, so mm-hmm. they lowered the bar so they all graduate, right. Get the hell out.
Get your diploma.
The Black Panther movement did start in the Bay Area.
It makes me fun. It makes me think like you can imagine if there was just like a Wakandan like representative. Let's call it the Black Panther. That sounds tight, son. That sounds tight, bro.
That's so disrespectful, but yeah,
it's super disrespectful, and I don't mean any disrespect. I think that would be a cool little comic book, nod there.
No, that'd be great. That would be great.
But yeah, so we come in and we see 2 African American men, roughly in their 20s, mm-hmm. Preparing to do some dirt. They're setting up the guns, they're setting up an attack pattern, and things are starting to jump off. And then in the sky, in 1992, mind you, you see a UFO. So it's like, how far have they progressed since then? Makes you just think.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts when you think about it. Like, they're already there. They didn't show up in a limo or even like a chopper. They showed up in a spaceship that can cloak in 1992.
Oh, Lord.
Kind of nuts. So we see the, what's the name of the all-female fighting force? The Jai?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God. I can't. It starts with a D.
Yeah,
but
I don't want to butcher it, so I'm just gonna keep it at the all-female fighting force that wears all red and they're badasses. Come to these guys' house, they already know what's going on, mm-hmm. and you see the Black Panther walk in, but you're like, the suit doesn't look like the one in the trailers. Who's that?
Right,
and you find out it's T'Chaka, mm-hmm. Black Panther, T'Challa's dad in the past. Fun note: the guy who plays T'Chaka is actually the son of the actor of the older T'Chaka.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's why they look so similar.
I thought it was like a weird CG thing going on.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually his actor son that they got for the role.
Wow. That's a lot of attention to detail right there.
They were like at the premiere. I was like, that's so smart. Yeah. Like he doesn't have to do much, right?
Right.
He acted his ass off. And I thought, I was like, is that CG? Are they pulling a Robert Downey on this?
Wow.
No, it's just his son. So...
That's a lot of depth right there. That's awesome.
It's one of those little touches that makes this movie so damn good. So we find out that the 2 young men, that one of the young men is a T'Challa, a Wakandan spy mm-hmm. who's been kind of implanted into the world, who's supposed to be keeping tabs on the world, but he's grown in his time in the world. He's grown disenchanted with the way things are going, how African American men are being treated, how being institutionalized, being mistreated, and he wants to fight back. So him and his buddy are going to do that, and And T'Chaka, help me out here, because I only saw the movie once. T'Chaka pretty much is like, wants to put the brakes on that. So that's not really our point here. But it also is going back to that some vibranium was stolen.
Right.
I'm just remembering that. From Wakanda, and it had to do with Ulysses Klaue, who was a villain in Age of Ultron, acted by the awesome Andy Serkis.
Yes.
He kills it in this movie. That guy needs more actual human work.
Yeah, yeah, I know, right?
He just needs more actual physical work. And he comes to find out that this guy who is the spy actually helped him find Wakanda to steal the vibranium because they wanted to use it in their brand of warfare. And he's like, well, how did you find me out? And we find out his homie that was right next to him was also a T'Chalan spy spying on him.
Right.
How long do you think they were friends? And he had to keep up that veil for him to trust him and bring him in.
It had to have been quite a while because
childhood,
that's,
maybe, right?
Because remember, that's T'Chaka's brother.
Yeah.
So not the other spy,
not the other spy,
but the one who's been accused of stealing,
of treason.
Yeah, treason. Yeah. So he had to have been tasked with this task for a while.
Yes.
And he had to have been really gone under a lot of not training, but a lot of consultation from T'Chaka to know what he's going to do,
his mannerisms,
his psychology, and all that.
Right. So
outside of just observing it on his own,
exactly,
and keeping his cool,
which is crazy. That's I want to see a movie just about that.
You
know what I mean? It's like Boys in the Hood, but with like an espionage twang to it.
Oh my god,
freaking dope, dude! But N'Jobu, I guess that's the guy who was the spy.
Yeah.
Pretty much was like, yeah, you gotta have to face Wakandan justice, bro. Like, we gotta get on the ship, go in a spaceship. And he's like, no, man, I'm not leaving. And they tussle, and he tries to pull a gun on N'Jobu, and reactionary, T'Chaka kills his brother almost in cold blood.
Wait, I thought N'Jobu was the brother.
Then who's?
I think. Yeah,
N'Jobu is the brother.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, N'Jobu is the brother.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm mixing those
like
up.
he's gonna clap himself. Like,
yeah, he was just like, he just broke his own neck. He put some claw marks in his chest real quick. The frame up. So N'Jobu's dead, and T'Chaka, you can see he feels kind of bad about it, and the other guy feels a little bad about it. Which is cool because you would expect him to go, no, I killed my brother. But no, he's just like, man, that's kind of messed up. He's not really hurt. You don't see the immediate, like, oh my God, what did I do?
Right.
He's stoic as hell. He's just like, yeah, that's rough. And his homeboy's like, what the hell just happened? So they break out in their super spaceship, and the little boy sees it from the ground where they're playing like pickup. They're playing like 21 or something like that. Yeah. And for those who don't know, 21 is a basketball game where you have to shoot the ball, and the first person who makes 21 points wins. I don't know why I just explained 21. This is where we are. So my only gripe about this movie is the next scene. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. And
that's where we're in present day Wakanda. Civil War just ended. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It's just a funny place to put it. I thought it was going to be a bit further in the future, but it makes sense. He's a fresh new king. I would feel robbed if he would just 2 years have passed and he's just the man now.
Right.
He's still adjusting to this kind of role. And they find out that they have a tail on. Actually, no. They find out that one of their spies is in trouble. Has been captured. So they're like, so T'Challa jumps to action, I guess, take his mind off of something. And needless to say that the person who's actually captured is his ex-girlfriend.
Right.
Who plays a huge role in this movie. And she's just an amazing actress.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes, man.
So pretty.
Just a goddess. Like in real life. Like if you saw her, she would float. She wouldn't even walk. She'd just glide on divinity. Jeez. So we get to the trailer spot where they're in the ship, and his main general of the female fighting force, I don't want to butcher her name either.
Let's just call her Michonne.
Michonne. There you go. Michonne is like, you ready? You know, don't freeze when you see her. I never freeze, you know. And he jumps down and he does his super spin reverse cycle crusher where he throws out technology and he's like taking out these guerrilla soldiers. And this is really the worst scene of the film for me, only because it's so damn dark. It's so dark, I can't really see what's happening.
That's funny because I saw everything. But anyway,
I saw everything. It just reminded me too much of AVP.
Alien vs. Predator.
Alien vs. Predator Requiem, where you saw what was happening. I mean, yeah, but it could have used a little bit more touch-ups when it came to the lighting.
Funny enough, it's really funny you mentioned that because that was my problem when I saw the trailers. Like trailer on the trailer period. Yeah. So like wherever I saw it, I was like, wow, this is like really, really dark.
Yeah.
But in the theater, actually, maybe
it was just your theater.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. But definitely, I did have that. I was kind of miffed by that when I saw the trailer. I was like,
because it's a very well put together action scene.
Yeah.
It's just dark.
Yeah.
I just wish it was maybe like an octave or two brighter. There was like some backlit, maybe more light from the actual transport trucks or something.
I mean, well, a real simple fix would be to just adjust the exposure, but
exactly, something as simple as that. But it's honestly, it's a nitpick because it's still a good scene. It's a good character development
it's a damn good scene.
And T'Challa just goes and shows you why he's so cool.
Yeah,
and he's the biggest and strongest, and no one can defeat him. He's the Black Batman with more money and more skills and uses magic and can best Doctor Doom and magic and shit. And he speaks with the oh man, Black Panther's the coolest. So he beats everybody up and he saves his ex-girlfriend, and he freezes very, very hard. And they have a conversation pretty much about my dad died. We got to bury him. I'm gonna reach my ascension to be king. I kind of want you to be there. It's like, well, I'm kind of trying to do my spy shit, but if you want me to be there, fine. Right?
Like, so rude.
So rude. She's so flippant. She's so tsundere. I love it. Help me out. What else happens after this? This is the part where they actually go back to Wakanda, and you see the freaking money shot.
Yeah, you finally see. There's a line where he says, not that it's really important, but I loved it.
Yeah, go for it.
Where he says, this never gets old.
It never gets old.
And like it shows you them flying into a fucking tree line. You think they're gonna
they're gonna
suicide bomb. but they fly right through a veil.
It's almost like a 5-layer. Almost like a Neon Genesis Evangeline feel.
Yeah.
When you break through the 5 veils.
Yeah.
To get to Wakanda, and it's this sprawling mix of like Star Trek, and it's a mix of actual Africa, and it's like a mix of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, man.
Once you go right through that asynchronous field, that disguise, you just see this massively, just extremely
sprawling.
Technological, but not really future. It's futuristic, but not dystopian.
I don't even know how to describe. It's something brand new.
Yeah,
it's rustic.
It's a mix between rustic landscape and extremely well constructed civilization.
Because there's still like straw homes.
Yeah.
And there's like straw skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Like if you were to naturally, like if Africa was never like raped of its resources and kind of like just left to its own devices, maybe this is how it would have looked.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Under their own devices. And it's like someone thought that out. Like one thing this movie better win a freaking Oscar for is its set direction. It's set construction in its landscaping, because it's one of the most beautiful Marvel movies I've ever seen, and one of the most beautiful movies I've seen in a very long time. Yeah. It's just everything's well done.
The cinematography,
that's the word I was looking for. The cinematography.
The cinematography is phenomenal. It's one of the best it's one of the best Marvel movies I can rate in terms of cinematography, and in terms of costume design, in terms of makeup. The costume design has to win something. Yeah.
Because these are some of the best well-dressed costumes I've ever seen since, I can't think of the last movie who had a costume design this rich.
You mean just for Marvel or just in general?
Just in general. Like, really good. Les Miserables maybe had really good costume design.
Man, you went way back.
Yeah, man. So they get to Wakanda, and Michonne blows him up. Yeah, he's super freezing. Shuri's laughing at him. And he meets his mom, who was played by the amazing Angela Bassett, who still looks freaking amazing. Angela Bassett for Storm. I don't care how old she is. Just let her be Storm. It's too late now, but I don't care.
Yeah, that's weird, man. I
don't care.
That's his mom, but actually, one thing that I noticed that was kind of funny. It didn't bother me really because it's just her, but she's trying to put on the I guess the East African accent.
Her accent was kind of dumb,
and it's because she's so Southern. Like
it's hard to break that.
Yeah, and so like I at first I'm thinking, oh shit, she's really got the African accent down. But then I'm hearing like some Alabama coming out.
It depends on her how mad she is in the scene. Like if she's calm, she sounds like she has it down.
Yeah,
but it's like my son. She's like my son.
Yeah,
it just rolls out a little different. You're like, oh, get him, Angela.
Oh,
I don't care. So we get to the actual scene where he's christened as King of Wakanda. And actually, this is another weak point for me in regards to graphics. Mm-hmm. The special effects were kind of
the special effects. I think
scene.
if there's anything I can knock this movie for, it's their use of special effects.
This movie had a $200 to $2 million budget, and you feel it in certain places. Certain places the graphics are amazing, like your intro to Wakanda is beautiful, but there's little things like when you're on the waterfall and they're doing their rhythmic dancing, which is beautiful, it's just like they look like they just copy and pasted humans against this thing, and they're just kind of doing their circa 2001 baby dance. It's kind of whack, but everything else is awesome. Like the costume design, the little touches, like their body movements. The little arm cross nod while he's being christened.
Yeah.
And they have a thing where it's like any challenger that has the right to challenge the throne, step up and you'll get a challenge. So everybody's like, nah, we respect. Until my boy comes, another guy who almost stole the movie.
Yeah.
M'Baku shows up with his squadron of mountain dwellers. And this is just one of the sects of the tribes that just kind of broke off. Yeah. While Wakanda and everybody else is getting all technological and dope, these guys are like, you guys are playing with, the fire. We're going to stay up here and keep doing our thing the old ways. And M'Baka, funny enough, in the comics is called Man-Ape, which you can see why they didn't call him that in the movie.
Yeah, of course.
But M'Baku challenges T'Challa for the throne, and you get to see what really is going on with Black Panther, is that he has powers outside of the suit.
Right.
He has heightened senses. He has super strength. He has super speed. He kind of becomes Captain America times 2, right? And he has another sense. He almost has like a Spidey sense too, in a weird way, where he just has these heightened senses. And it's because of something called the heart-shaped fruit, which is a byproduct of vibranium mixing with the local plant life. And this is something that the Black Panthers only receive as the main guardians of Wakanda. Only Black Panthers can really eat or imbibe this stuff. But they've also worked out a way to strip it from you. Because once you eat it once, you're good. It's just in your system and you can use it. But for the test, it wouldn't be fair if anyone had to fight this superhuman, more than man dude. So they strip him of his skill, and it's just Boseman out there. It's just T'Challa fighting M'Baku, who's superhuman all by himself. This guy is a freaking tank. And he begins losing, which is, of course he is. It's plot, right? But his strength is defeated by T'Challa's speed and his wits. Yep. And his technique is what defeats the saber-tooth, almost like M'Baku, and he yields. There's two ways you can actually lose your sovereignty. It's either by wielding or dying. Yep. And this is kind of rough, but that's just how it goes. So
that's the warrior culture, though.
That's the warrior way, man. Yeah. So T'Challa wins, and he's king. So everything is all hunky dory. They go and celebrate, get drunk, whatever. Yeah. Imagine Wakanda nail, bro.
No. That would fuck me up.
A little bit of vibranium in there so your stomach don't get upset?
Or more like, anyway, blow my genitals off.
you drink a Wakandan beer and your freaking nuts just explode out of your body. This is only for the king. He's the only man with the testicular fortitude to drink Wakandan ale.
Yeah, man. I'm good.
Yeah, that's not meant for me. So we get our introduction to our main villains at this point. And these guys almost steal the movie. Like, everyone's so good is the thing. There's no weak links. And we get our introduction back to Claw, who's kind of a different character than he was in Ultron. Maybe he's a little bit more charismatic. But then again,
I would say a little more annoying, actually. But
he was a bit annoying.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was a little annoying.
He was a little extra, but it was needed to offset the next character who we're introduced to is Eric Killmonger by the outstanding Michael B. Jordan.
Yes,
and man, does this dude drip charisma? It's crazy.
Don't you mean swag?
Well, you know what? This is a Black Panther review. Guy is dripping swagoo, ladies and gentlemen. It's too much. I can't. From the moment, you can always tell it's a good villain intro because you have your back to the villain.
Yep.
Think about it.
Yep.
Heath Ledger back to the villain. Kingpin back to the villain. And he's unrepentantly American. He's African American, dude. It's like, and that's another thing that this movie really drives home is the duality of the African human being. Yeah. Are you either come from the Africa side where you're just you're from Africa and that's a whole different vibe, right? Or you're African American and you come from a whole different vibe from that. Right. You know what I mean? And he's so unrepentantly African American. It's such a refreshing breath of air to have him as a character in a film where you would have thought going in that wasn't going to be represented. Yeah,
I was a little surprised at that too.
I was expecting him to have an accent or something. Right?
Actually, what I was expecting, and this actually has to do more with the movie, not with Michael B. Jordan, because he's cultured the hell up.
He can do whatever he wants, man.
I was expecting a little more whitewashing.
Wow, right.
And he was unabashedly. He represented what not a typical African American would be.
He represented,
but for someone from where he comes from,
he represented where he came from so hard. Yeah, that it was hard not to root for the guy.
It was genuine.
He was so that's the word. Yeah, everyone's portrayal in this film is so genuine. It comes from a real place. Yep, a real anger, a real dedication, and he's at a museum. I think it's England.
London. Yeah, it's London. Yeah.
And he's looking at old artifacts, and he's like, he's playing the fool because that's how you do it. You got to play the fool, even though you're the smartest guy in the room. Oh, what's that? This is from the 14th century, tribe and yada yada. Yada. And he finds a weapon. He's like, oh no, that was stolen by the so and so's, but this is actually from Wakanda. Yeah, and
he was saying like, because she was trying to say some BS thing that it was taken from a 16th century Benin, country Benin, and he's like, no, they may have gotten it from Benin, but it was actually stolen from Wakanda.
Yes,
like being a little dick.
He was being very to know about it.
He's being very matter of fact, and I like that a lot.
I love that. That's part of his confidence. Yeah. And then he goes to see the actual comic book accurate mask, and she's like, "Oh, what's that? What do you like? What's about that one?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm just feeling it." Yeah,
so that
you could tell that was like an ad lib.
I loved that though. That was so perfect.
It's so perfect pitch. And then
he actually ends up wearing it later.
Yeah, he keeps it. He gets it, which is so cool. I love it. Little touches, man. This movie's full of little touches. So we see Claw and his squadron come in as the help, which is funny enough. Think about that. Almost in every like infiltration scene, he comes in as the help, which I think is kind of funny. And Killmonger poisons the actual. I think she dies, right? He incapacitates her.
He can. I don't know if she probably died off screen.
Oh yeah, but you don't see her like. Bleh. He's like, and then he gets, help! Please help her, right? And it causes the distraction for his team to get into place, and they just murk the entire room full of people to get the actual weapon, which was actually built by. It was actually the hilt, or not the hilt, but the actual. Blade.
The head of it. I think it was a pickaxe. Actually,
it was like a pickaxe or something like that, right? It was made of vibranium. Yeah, which makes me wonder why Wakanda wouldn't have snatched that up in the first place. I'm sure they would have known about his existence.
I mean, it's not like this. thing has trackers on it. I mean, it's pretty old. It's 16th century. So
True.
I mean, like,
even they may have lost that in
yeah.
the shuffle. I mean, they're so staunch about like keeping their vibranium in the house.
Yeah.
You would think that some Black Panther dropped the ball and let that thing float off into the ether.
Hey, I mean, shit. I mean, look at Claw. I mean, he was going to someone's. It's like someone going in your backyard and stealing your fucking like your goddamn like furniture,
and you don't know
piece by piece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so if you can't explain that, then I'm sure you can probably not explain this.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and another thing about Claw is how he eluded generations of Black Panthers for years.
Yeah.
It's like, how?
How
did this idiot do it?
Now,
He did not seem like a mastermind that was like skillfully elusive in getting out of tight spots.
Now that I'm thinking about it, that does bother me a little bit.
Right?
Because
How?
He's been stealing from them for fucking, 30 years?
Yeah, straight.
Yeah, like
T'Chaka never caught him.
Like, how are you doing this?
He's not the leader, you know what I'm saying? He's not some super mastermind. He kind of bumbles his way through the movie. You know what I mean? Like, he has connections. And even in Age of Ultron, he bundled that. Because he had a ton of vibranium then. Right? So he got that stole from Ultron, and he got super served. And this time, he just happens to fall backwards into more vibranium. He's the Cosmo Kramer of MCU villains. He seemed to be this super genius, but no, he just kind of bumbles his way through. But let's get through this movie.
Yeah.
So they get the artifact, and it pops up on their radar. We have a chance to get Claw. We have to get Claw. And you see a little bit of Wakandan democracy, or the lack thereof.
Right.
Where the head chiefs are like, we kind of shouldn't be going after this guy. Just let it was whatever. But no, he killed a lot of people and he stole from our country. We need to catch this guy and bring him back to Wakandan justice. We don't want to do it. T'Challa's like, well, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, King. Gotta love that sovereign democracy.
That part right there was a touch, a nod back to the comic book.
The true T'Challa, because he was just like, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
I am king.
You know,
if you want
you can like it or love it.
You can like it or love it, and if you don't, we can meet at the waterfall with your old ass
and talk it out like
and I'll throw you off the mountain, throw you off the waterfall, bro. So, so we get one of the best scenes in the movie. Where they actually go hunt down Claw in North Korea? Or South Korea?
South Korea. No one's going to North Korea.
Not even Wakanda can get to North Korea. Oh, but let's move on from that. So so who goes with him? His ex-girlfriend goes with him, and Michonne goes with him, wearing a horrible wig, which she hates. It's so itchy. I love it. Such little touches. And they get into the secret boss casino room, and it always reminds me of this old movie called Deep Rising, where it had the Asian-inspired casino room right before the monsters rip it apart. Watch Deep Rising if you haven't seen that, ladies and gentlemen. It's dumb fun. So it turns into Casino Royale at this point. Find the buyer, infiltrate the buy, capture the target. It's so cool. It's such a smooth transition into a completely different genre.
And then it turns into Rainbow Six Vegas.
Vegas.
It's just
such a good pull, dude.
In like a matter of like moments, scenes.
It becomes, and then it turns into Matrix Revolution. It turns into Matrix Reloaded after a while. So they're looking out for Claw. Everett Ross, who is the kind of U.S. representative. Mm-hmm. He's Steve Trevor in this situation, the representative. That's all I'll say. And he's there too, I guess, doing his own. He's infiltrated this as well. And, T'Challa says, well, this will get interesting. So he goes to talk to him and he's like, I'm going to do what I want to do and just stay out of my way. And Everett's like putting on that American bravado. Well, you're going to see about that. You're not going to break up this deal. I don't care who you are. And Michonne is made by one of the guards because she's talking to herself into their, which doesn't make sense. You would think they have like telepathic conversations going on, but they're not there yet. And the scene is so well done for an action scene because it goes from the shootout in the casino where you see T'Challa just jump a story pretty much in the air, which is part of his heart-shaped herb DNA. And it goes from there to a car chase where his suit just comes on to him because during this time he had an upgrade where he has pretty much a nanotech suit.
Created by his sister.
Created by his sister, Shuri. And that's the "what are those" scene.
Right, yeah.
This was just had the entire theater rolling, had me rolling. Yeah. Sister's so cool. Where his entire suit fits in the teeth of his chain. Yeah. Iron Man eats your damn heart out. Jeez, it makes Stark Tech look so lame in comparison. But it's not fair because they're technically space aliens. Right. Wakanda is. So it goes into the street where they're chasing Claw and chasing the vibranium, and it's one of the best scenes in the movie. It's actually probably the best action scene in the film. Yeah, because I have my problems with the ending, but we'll get there. Any parts of that scene that actually catch your eye?
Yeah, actually, very much. And it's very unconventional, but I'm going to say it anyway. So Andy Serkis and Everett Ross. If you guys don't know this, they were also in Lord of the Rings together.
Very good pull. Very good pull.
It's kind of funny because they are literally the two Tolkien guys. Mm-hmm.
That was a fun little reunion, wasn't
it? Well, what I mean is they were the two Tolkien white dudes in the movie.
Yeah.
The two Tolkien white dudes in the movie.
That's so good. They were the Tolkien white dudes, and they were. Yeah. They actually were. Now that I think about it, that's such a play on words. I love this damn movie. Another thing someone mentioned to me earlier was that look at the colors that T'Challa, Michonne, and his ex are wearing: red, green, and black, which is the colors of the African. Right. It's just such small attentions to detail.
I think of Kenyan
flag, right?
I think so.
Oh man. Or the scene where Andy Serkis's hand splits and turns into the claw weapon. Yeah. If he just had a suit, which would have been dumb, and I don't care. It would have been cooler, but it's fine. It's fine. Right?
I'm actually glad they put him in regular clothing. Honestly, because
he kind of looks like a poacher from Jurassic Park the way he dresses. Doesn't that? He looks like that. He looks like the guy from Lost World who wanted to catch a T-Rex. Only a buck. That was like his dad. You know what I mean? He looks like an African poacher, which is another funny little nod to the movie. So T'Challa kicks ass. He jumps off buildings. He reflects off cars because they built in kind of like a super armor for him, where the more impact it takes, it will send out a sonic wave at his command.
It absorbs a lot of kinetic energy. So any trauma to a suit automatically gets absorbed and converted into kinetic energy.
I wonder if it has a limit. It didn't seem to have a limit of energy that it stores.
Until he turns into the Purple Panther.
The more he does it, the more he turns into the Purple Panther.
which is kind of a little bit my problem with that suit, because it and this goes to the special effects.
It's a problem with the it wasn't very well.
It wasn't very well implemented. No,
it wasn't very well. The suit itself,
it looks badass.
It looks badass, but we didn't need that. Mm-hmm. Like I almost favor the Civil War suit to this suit. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I favor that suit. I also favor the way Black Panther, his action scenes were in Civil War as well.
Because Civil War action scenes were epic. Yeah, but the action scenes were good in this movie. Yeah, they weren't great. They you know what I mean. Yeah, that's not the strong. That's not why this movie is excellent.
Of course not.
But yeah, the suit had some was left to be desired, especially when his eyes, when the whites came up, you just saw his real human man eyes. I didn't like that. Yeah, and that was like on posters and shit. So they capture Claw momentarily, and Claw's really hamming it up. This is where he becomes a little annoying, and during the interrogation scene, he explains to Everett that El Dorado is not in Mexico. El Dorado was not in South America. It was actually in Africa the whole time. Yeah. And all the treasure hunters were in the wrong spot. And Everett, of like the rest of the world, is like, oh, this is some weird third world country. Like, no one cares. He's like, no, ask him where he gets his money from. And then that question is raised. And T'Challa doesn't lie, but he doesn't tell the truth either. He really, he flips it. He's like, well, are you going to trust the man who's in custody over me? And then he's sprung out of super jail. You would think this guy would be in some kind of raft-like jail cell,
right?
Like in, like a Civil War jail cell. They have him like at the local drunk tank, pretty much. Like, why isn't this guy like some kind of like super prison, like in Civil War?
I mean, he has a blaster cannon for an arm.
He needs to be. You have like, if you can have the Falcon in a super prison.
You need to put him in a shield detainer container.
That's what I'm saying. Why isn't shield? Well, there is no shield at this point,
right? Yeah, but
there's the raft that was in Civil War. So he's sprung by Killmonger and his weird girlfriend that never gets a name, which kind of bothers me. I don't know why.
I could care less.
Could care less. So T'Challa gets broke off. He actually loses this kind of little quick skirmish and sees something that really bugs him is that the guy who captured him has the same ring that he has, the birthright of Wakanda.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is where the plot gets really great.
This is where the plot thickens, ladies and gentlemen. Because he failed to capture Claw. The vibranium, was it seized or wasn't it? It wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't seized,
no,
so
it wasn't.
They still have it. The vibranium. So he pretty much failed. The hero failed, and he had to go back with his tail between his legs, his panther tail, back to Wakanda, and explain that to his buddy, who he swore that he would, avenge his father because. Get Out was like, man, I want to go. He told Get Out he couldn't go. So Get Out was real salty about it, which makes a super weird character arc for him. We'll get into that as well. And in the scuffle, Everett Ross is mortally wounded. Almost like a spinal column damage. Like he was just not, under normal circumstances, he's finished.
Yeah.
So T'Challa makes an extremely crazy decision. Goes against, which starts his arc. In a direction to where he's going to take Everett to Wakanda to fix him because no one else in the world is going to know how to do this. And this is where he stops being Marvel Comics T'Challa and becomes something completely different.
Right.
And at first I was like, there's no way T'Challa would be cool with that. He wants to maintain the anonymity of his country over everything in the comics. And here it's like, ooh, he's letting the most secret agent man ever. You might as well have Nick Fury in there. I wonder if Fury knew about Wakanda like that.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It was on the map on Iron Man 2, but maybe they had inklings about it. But anywho, so they take Everett Ross to Wakanda to fix him, which they do like easily. It takes like 12 hours to fix a spinal column damage that was irreparably fixed. So he meets Shuri, and they keep him quarantined in the medical bay. And he's just freaking out because he might as well be in Asgard.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so T'Challa goes back and is kind of chewed out by Get Out. It's like, oh man, you sure are sucking it up as the king so far. Your dad couldn't catch this guy, neither can you. Get it together. Yeah. Get good, as it were. And then we're reintroduced to Killmonger. At the air hangar scene, like the airplane graveyard.
Yeah.
And they get into, why did they get into it? I forget. Like, why did they actually start arguing between Claw and Killmonger?
Because I think because
Claw
he wanted to go by himself or something like that.
Claw wanted to cash in the vibranium, and get money,
and then Killmonger wanted to go straight to Wakanda.
He wanted to go to Wakanda, and Claw was like, "Dude, no,
like, why the hell I want to go
back? I barely made it out the first time."
Yeah,
he's like, "No, you're going to take me to Wakanda," and so they have their scuffle,
right?
And he kills Claw, which is a big problem with me. Because for those who know, Claw is like Black Panther's Joker. Yeah. It's like one of his major villains, major reoccurring villains. And to kill him off in that fashion kind of felt it felt like a step backwards. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean. But on the same token, like, I saw that and then it didn't bother me that much. In the story arc, while it doesn't make sense, it kind of does in a sense because, like, you have there would have been way too much. There would have been a way. It was already going to be a conflict with both Claw and Killmonger in the same vein.
You know what? It does. It makes sense. And now that you say it that way, if you could have made Claw indisposed, you keep him in jail, right, so that he could become a threat later down the line, and let it be Killmonger's show. He didn't need to die for Killmonger to run the show. You keep him in S.H.I.E.L.D. or whoever's custody. And let Killmonger, because he already knew the way to Wakanda. He didn't technically need Claw for that.
Exactly.
He just wanted him to obey his direct order or whatever. So that kind of bothered me, especially with the way the movie ends. It kind of leaves things a little closed-ended for me.
Because so there's two ways that could have gone down. The reason why Killmonger wanted him to go with them to Wakanda is because he wanted him to take him as a human prisoner.
Exactly.
And so that didn't work out that way.
So he just produced the body.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Claw was his end, no matter what, right?
Right, but at the same time, it wouldn't make sense for Claw to be a prisoner in Wakanda of all places.
Yeah,
they want this motherfucker dead.
They just would have killed him. Get Out would have killed him the moment he saw him dragged out.
Yeah, he would have slit his throat.
He would have slit his throat. So he kind of did them a favor.
Right.
So after that, they get news. We go back to Wakanda, and they're still having their fallout of from the failure of T'Challa, right? And let's see here, and they pretty much say that there's a intruder on the borders of Wakanda who's spouting all types of crazy shit, and then T'Challa, of course, is like, bring him to me. And then we go back to the outskirts of Wakanda where Get Out finds Michael B. Jordan just dragging a body. I'm sorry. He's a very good actor. I'm just going to call, like we're calling Homegrown Michonne, I'm calling this guy Get Out. Because he's
I know the Niagara, I just forget his name all the time.
Just Get Out, dude. For the sake of this episode, it's just Get Out. Please forgive me, dude. So Get Out's like, oh, you killed him, huh? And Killmonger's like, yeah, bro. Yeah, I'm about this life. I did I did something that your king and your stupid kingdom couldn't do for 30 years. I did it 5 minutes. I need to talk to your king. And so one of my favorite scenes of the movie is, and Killmonger's theme is so good. Like the music. We didn't talk about the music in this movie. The percussions, you're just waiting for lyrics to drop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Almost the whole time. But no, it's just instrumentals. And it's beats, and it's just so, especially when he's on screen, it's so hip hop, right? And he has on his battle armor that he's wearing for most of the film, which, funny enough, looks a lot like Saiyan armor.
And it is, in a sense.
It's based off Saiyan armor.
It's based off of his appreciation of anime, actually.
Yes, he said he based it off, and when he asked for them to design it to look like Vegeta's armor. Yeah. Which is so dope. I love Michael B. Jordan so much. He's so good. It's so good. I didn't catch it until later. I'm like, that's fucking sick. Anyway, I can gush about it for an hour. So he walks to the throne, and he's talking very cryptically. He's almost peacocking with them. Oh, this place looks nice. You guys must be real comfortable in here, man. You guys are living good. Like, who are you, man? Like why should I just kill you right now? And which he should have done, honestly. If it was real life, T'Challa would have killed this dude just for being a transgressor.
He would have had a spear in his ass.
He would have got a vibrating spear in the throat. And he's asking everybody ask me who I am. How do I know about here? How did I get here? You know what I mean? How did I know to kill your main enemy? And T'Challa's like, I don't even want to entertain it. And of course, Mr. Ancestral couplet. That's so bad. I'm sorry. I don't know.
You only saw it once.
You only saw him I think it was like Clarence Williams.
I mean, you only saw the movie once. So I mean,
yeah, I'm sorry.
And he doesn't even have a name. Anyway.
He doesn't have a name. I think it's Clarence Williams III. Is that Clarence Williams III?
Oh, well, shit.
The guy,
if it is,
the guy from Tales from the Crypt. He looks good if it's him.
I don't think it's him. I think it's a local.
It must be some other guy.
Yeah.
Because Clarence Williams, even with prosthetics, he wouldn't have been able to play that role so well. Yeah. Because he would have overacted his ass off. But Homeboy gives in and says, "Who are you?" And he declares that he is the son of
Njobu.
Njobu, the brother of T'Chaka, and rightful heir to the throne of Wakanda. And it's a giant revelation. Everybody's freaking the hell out. He's lying. There's no way. shows off his ring, says, "Hi, Auntie," one of my favorite lines in the movie.
Yeah.
Such an asshole. And T'Challa's kind of thrown for a loop because a scene prior to this, T'Challa confronts Forrest Whitaker about why would this guy have a ring? Explain to me what's happening. I'm not supposed to tell you. My king told me not to tell you. I'm your king now. Yeah. You need to explain this to me because you guys' sin is coming back to haunt me. The sins of the father are haunting the son, which is another strong through line for this movie, is that the old ways and tradition have poisoned the future. And may it be the poison of Michael B. Jordan's character, Killmonger's inside poison, or the poison of the throne that now T'Challa must inherit. And it puts him in a bad situation, puts him in a bad place. So he has to clean up this mess now.
One other thing I do like about that, the way that plot took that turn, is that T'Challa idolized his father a lot. He idolized him a lot.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
It was really interesting and very, I thought it was very well done how they showed like he finally started to see like, wait a minute.
The cracks in the man.
Yeah.
And one of the best lines in the movie is, you know what, T'Challa, you're a good man. And it's very, very hard for good men to be kings. Yeah. And it hits me right in the chest. It's so, like, you can't lead without having some hardness to you and making decisions that may be contrary to the common good. And T'Chaka made that decision the night he killed his brother. Yeah. And not just that, left his son, a Wakandan prince, in America to toil through the foster care system in Oakland, California. Oakland represent. And it left a scar on everyone involved, the entire sovereign nation of Wakanda, and the other side of the equation, the son of, the brother of the king. And this is the sins of the father coming back to roost. And Killmonger wanted nothing to have with Wakanda in itself. He didn't care. He wanted to use it for what his main motivation was, which was liberation. Right. His main motivation was, you guys are so comfortable here on Mount Olympus that you don't see the struggle of our people in the real world. You don't see us being subjugated and being lied to and being raped and pillaged and mutilated and manipulated. There's so much you guys could do, but you choose to turn a blind eye. That ends now. I want the crown. I'm going to change things, and they're going to know about Wakanda one way or another. We're going to reset the clock, and we're going to be on top this time. And as a black man, it's really hard not to fight that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to be like, he's a villain. Cause
it is, but at the same time,
it's crazy.
But I immediately started looking at the macro view of it all and how much havoc that would wreak.
You can't have creation without destruction, man.
I mean, for all people, not just for everybody.
But that was the way it was originally. They destroyed Africa to make America. Of course. In any other country that wanted to nitpick off what was happening, it would take, if you reverse that, it would take America to be destroyed to colonize Africans and African Americans and African UK and African Japanese or whoever across the world to be the leaders of the world. Right. And with this technology and with this scientific development, it would be a cakewalk, right? And Get Out made a good point where he was like, the world out there is catching up. Like, you look at cats like Stark and like Pym, and they're doing stuff that's kind of starting to rival what we're doing. And it's going to start to get to the point where you're either the conqueror or the conquered. So we need to take a share to get off the pot when it comes to this now. And that's another part of this movie is about heritage versus common sense. Like, exactly. Do you do what you've been told or do you do the right thing? Though the two aren't mutually inclusive. You know what I'm saying? So it made you really feel where Killmonger was coming from. Did he approach it right? Hell no, because he's a Killmonger. He's literally a Killmonger. So from this point, he invokes the right to challenge the throne. And it's like, it would take weeks for us to set that up again, man. We had dances and barbecues and all that. I can't do it. It's like, I don't need everybody there. I just need you. And I need to know I will kill you and take your throne and use it to how I want to use it. So they set up like a weird little covert meeting on the waterfall. They strip him of his powers again. And T'Challa gets his ass kicked. Like he loses hard. And part of me makes me feel like Batman can't lose. How does Batman lose a one-on-one fight fair and square? Well, firstly, Michael B. Jordan is ripped to shit in this movie. Like, he's jacked out of his mind. And Boseman could have used a little bit more time in the gym, but that's another weird little nitpick. And two, for me to justify it as a comic fan, I think that T'Challa totally underestimated this guy. He he didn't take the fight seriously.
His hubris.
His hubris was extremely bruised and killed by this kid who came out of nowhere. He's only been here a couple of hours. And he's taking off his armor, his Vegeta armor. And he's like, I've killed all across this country. I've killed all across the world. Every little notch on my skin is a body I've claimed. His whole entire chest. And we didn't even see his lower part. His whole body's probably covered in these little knots, which is actually African, which actually has African roots to it as well, which is kind of cool. He's like, I've killed all these people, even my own countrymen, just for the opportunity to be here right now and kill you. Because T'Challa had the arrogance to say, you can stand down if you want. Because everybody was like, this guy's going to get mopped. T'Challa's been training for this his whole life. You know, he's a trained warrior, scientist, sorcerer, businessman, king. Freaking Black Panther's too cool. So he gets his ass nice and kicked. He gets thrown off the waterfall, like classic. And that's actually a scene from the comics with Killmonger defeating him in such a fashion. Everyone cries and freaks out. It's like, I'm king now. But the theme music, theme music kicks on, and he gets to work, right? So his direct bloodline, his mom, his sister are planning to leave because if they don't leave, he's probably going to kill them, right? And Michonne has a crisis of conscience, which is another really cool, which goes back to heritage versus the right thing. Right. Where it's like, you have to come with us and help protect us. We're going to get out the country because we need to figure out a way to get this guy out of here because he's going to destroy the infrastructure of our entire nation overnight. We need to do something now. Well, he's my king now. And I have to protect him no matter what. And it was fair and square. My heart's with you, but my body and my mind and my skills are with him. And for a second, I wasn't even mad at her. No, I mean, you think in these movies, you're usually like, "Oh, screw her, man. Yeah. She's not about." No, it comes from a pure place. Yeah, and you don't even. In my heart, I didn't even feel any kind of anger for her. She had to do what she had to do, and she's the general. Right. So, if anybody has a staunch devotion to the throne, it's her. You know what I mean? And I love that little part that Michonne got to stretch her acting chops with, and it gave her whole another level of another layer to peel on. You know what I'm saying? So their plan is to take Everett, Shari, and Angela Bassett to the ape tribe because, like, who else is strong enough to fucking fight this guy? Because he's insane, and he's obviously going to get the heart-shaped plant and become just as strong as T'Challa, if not more bloodthirsty. Who's going to actually fight him like that? And so they go to the mountain tribe to go see M'Baku. And during this time, one of my favorite scenes in the movie happens where Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger, is going through the ritual to become Black Panther. Yeah. And they do the exact same ritual and give him a spirit walk as well. But when you open to his spirit walk, it's his old apartment. Yeah. And in the background is the spiritual plane, purplish blues, and it's so pretty and cool. Yeah. And you have the one-on-one between his father and Michael B. Jordan. It's some of the best acting in the movie. I forget the actor. He was in This Is Us. He won an award, Academy Award, for his portrayal. I forget the name of that show, but he's like, no tears for me. He's like, you're not going to cry? You seen your father? He's just like, hey, Dad, the way it is people die. I learned that on the streets. I learned that being a black ops spook, you know, and just the way it is. It was so touching. It's so crazy how they pulled that off. And that's the moment where the movie is telling you you're going to care about our villain. Mm-hmm. It's the nail in the coffin. Like, you're going to care about this villain. And so after that, we get to M'Baku and the squadron, and they're like, we've stolen the last of the heart-shaped fruit because this idiot Killmonger just burned it all.
Yeah,
because he's like another Black Panther. That sounds dumb. It's just me.
Yeah.
It's gonna be me. 1,000 years Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
1,000 years Killmonger. Burn all this. Burn it down.
But that's part of his training as a deniable ops.
Thank you. I was going to
destabilize the region and to destabilize the government so that something else can come in
and easily take it over.
Yeah,
destroy old traditions so that your doctrine is unwavering.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure they had like a weird little cut where they had more heart-shaped fruit. I'm sure.
Yeah.
There has to be an original source where it came from. Mm-hmm. Anywho, this is just me theory crafting for the next movie. It's not like they're going to take his powers away again. But anyway, I digress. So M'Baku's like, you need to come with me in a bit of plot armor, or plot armor. I call it what it is. They just happened to find a comatose T'Challa, and they brought him to the mountain. He's like, wow. Well, one of our fishermen saw him floating in the ocean randomly on the brink of death.
I'm sorry. I laughed actually really hard.
It's super dumb. It's so dumb. I'm like, what? I can suspend belief as much as the next guy, but T'Challa's dead, dude. The fisherman would have been down there fishing and just saw the body drop from orbit and be like, oh.
Like some alternate carbon shit.
Yeah, it had to be like, his stack was perfectly aligned. His stack wasn't damaged, so he was fine. My king. And he ran over there and got him. Gave him some juice to keep his body code. Hiked him up, God knows how long, to the mountains.
On ice.
On ice. So he had ice on him. He had bricks of ice on him. These guys aren't technological, so it would have been like on the back of a hut, of a cart or something. Drugged by like donkeys or something. My king, is your stack intact? Let me check. No neck damage. Good. Let's go ahead and swap out this stack for a new sleeve.
Oh my god.
Watch Altered Carbon, dude. That shit is dope. Anyway, that's another plot point that I just kind of, after in retrospect, like, that shit is dumb. So he's like, I find it weird that M'Baku just didn't take the freaking heart-shaped plant, become a super god, and use this chance to take over the throne. But he had a certain respect for T'Challa.
Yeah.
And he owed like a life debt to him.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's precisely why he didn't. Because M'Baku wanted to kill him.
Yeah, he was like, you guys are sitting up here fat, chilling with your weird technologies and you're disrespecting the old ways. Yeah. I'm gonna take over and set this shit back. Yeah. And he lost fair and square. Yeah. And he owed his life to T'Challa because T'Challa could have been an asshole and just killed him. Yeah. But because of that, he gave his family a pass. Mm-hmm. He helped him, and T'Challa got the heart-shaped herb again, went on his spirit journey again, and confronted his father. And it's like, dude, why didn't you tell me that I had a nephew, a cousin floating around that could have been a problem? Why did you tell me you killed my uncle? Makes sense because I never heard of him ever again. Yeah. Because they would have roughly been around the same age. Right. Where's Unky M'Baku? he went to the movies. He's never coming back. He went to America movies and they got him. What? Are we going to bury him? Nah, they disintegrated him. Special guns. Yeah. That's another pothole.
Special beam cannon.
These is brown bottoms. These is Namek shoes. Oh, jeez. So T'Challa confronts his dad. He gets the answers he wants. He gets the reserve to set his new way. And this is a total offshoot of the actual character where he's like, no more are we going to block our borders. I will make it my life's mission so that this doesn't happen again and that we're open and freely communicating with the world around us because of that alienation, we've created a monster that I now have to take care of because of your mistake. Yeah. And the rose-colored glasses on his father dropped and he saw the man behind the mantle. And that's what he had to find within himself. You know what I'm saying? The man behind the mantle. So he finally became, I think after he was resurrected, that's when he was actually King T'Challa. Yeah. He was king at that point because he learned to curb his hubris. He learned not to look a gift horse in the mouth. And he learned what has to be done to right the wrongs of his country. So we reached the climax of the film, which I have huge problems with. And jeez,
I know why you have a problem with it. However, honestly, I don't.
It's too expedited. My big problem with the ending is that what happens is Killmonger's already sending ships out. Like we're gonna send these weapons out to our war dogs in the world, and they're gonna be gun runners. And we're gonna spread these out to all the Africa adjacent camps, and we're just gonna wreck shit on my the ready. So he's already sending stuff out. He already has his Prince Zamunda jacket. He stole the second Black Panther armor, the gold one, right, for himself. And he's just running shit, right? And T'Challa shows up. Am I skipping anything?
No.
That's pretty much the progression. Yeah. He has an argument with Michonne for a second because she's like, "This is madness," and he says, "No, this is Sparta." You know what I mean? And he's just like, "Whatever." You know, Wakanda, get it right, Wakanda forever. So T'Challa shows up. He makes a good point. I never conceded, and technically you didn't kill me. So the actual blood oath thing is still going. I can still defeat you for my throne.
Yeah, but then he was like, "Fuck that, kill him."
yeah, I love that part. He's like, "Nah, I dead at that." He said it's so hood. He was like, "Nah, I dead at that. Nah, that's over." And everybody's like, "You can't do that. Yeah, you can't dead it. No, that's wrong. We have to stand around and watch them two fight and let this resolve itself." But Get Out doesn't feel that way. He's like, "No, just rush T'Challa, this guy who I've been cool with my entire life, probably trained with my entire life. I'm going to kill him now because he failed to kill Claw." And I'm totally backing a man I've only met 24 hours ago. Because from the moment that Killmonger showed up to this point, it was overnight. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was overnight.
Get Out's level of discernment is so low.
It's really low. And that's my problem.
Almost non-existent.
That's my super problem is that he let loose his entire army against Wakanda because he slightly disagreed with the way T'Challa wanted to run things. And he let himself be seduced so hard by Killmonger that he was just going to fight. Like, just flat out war. Like you just had like a beer with these dudes just last night, and all of a sudden he must have gamed them up hard. Like, look, bro, we're gonna go in here, we're gonna infiltrate, we're gonna dissect. I know how to do this, man. We're gonna have it done in 24 hours, man. You gonna be in like, you know where? You ever been to Washington? Washington's popping, bro. Hey. You ever been to? You know what Los Angeles is, dog? They got so many girls, dog. Man, your wife not gonna care. She gonna be stuck here, dude. I'm gonna leave her at the house, bro. It's gonna be so popping, dude. So many girls, dog. Get Out was like, what?
We're gonna hit up Club Envy.
We gonna hit up Club Envy, dude. I'm gonna let you meet Ice Cube. I know Ice Cube, bro. We gonna drop a beat. Wakanda Forever mixtape. We're gonna have Kendrick on it. It's gonna be dope, dude. Anyway, he gamed him up super hard, and that's my biggest problem with this whole movie. It's this end scene. Because it's really unrealistic. Realistically, Get Out would have been like, fuck, man. Like, all right, fine. Let's finish the actual thing. And they would have had a nice, quiet fight together to which the hero would have eventually won. But no, we need our giant war scene with the damn animatronic rhinos and shit. Ugh. That part rubs me the wrong way. So it's a three-tiered battle scene, which Marvel does really well. The first tier is the female fighting force taking on the new evil Black Panther, which is Killmonger, who easily defeats them, of course. The second tier of the fight scene is T'Challa fighting off an entire army by himself and winning, mind you, because he has that sick Sonic Boom Infinite Sonic Hurricane move he has.
And he throws a vibranium sonic spear at an airship and destroys it.
That was so cool. Oh my god. He does like a giant, he does like he keeps doing cycle crushers in midair. The light gleams off his suit. He drops to the ground. He just takes a spear and throws it at an aircraft carrier and just drops it out the air. It's the dopest like one scene ever. I marked out so hard. Thank you for reminding me about that. I'm like, what the hell? Why is he so dope?
That was just outrageous.
Outrageous, dude. So there's a big war happening. The third tier of this is that the Wakandan ships are going out into the world and they can't get out of that weird AT field barrier because once they're out there, they're gone. Mm-hmm. So Everett from the technical lab / med bay, has to remote pilot one of their ships to take them down. Mm-hmm. So he's given something to do. So everybody has something to do at this point. We were talking about that fight scene where Get Out rides a mechanical rhinoceri.
Well, it wasn't mechanical, but yeah,
it might as well be because the CG was so bad.
Yeah.
The CG is the weakest. Man, Black Panther 2 is going to look so damn good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so T'Challa finally gets to the point where he's going to start fighting Warmonger, or Killmonger rather. And someone mentioned to me earlier, it's like, did you notice that they're actually fighting on an underground railroad?
Yeah. I noticed that too. The one that Shuri made to transport the
transport vibranium because it's so powerful that he needs sound dampeners to keep it at bay while they take it from one place to another for their experimentations.
Right.
And it also balances out their powers of the suit, so they can just fight each other as men. And of course, Killmonger's kind of trying to sway T'Challa to his, not really sway T'Challa to his way, but I'm going to kill you and I'm going to tell you why. Mm. And they fight it out and it's a pretty cool fight scene. And then Everett stops the planes. Get Out yields to Michonne, and T'Challa defeats Killmonger with a kill blow from a weapon from, what was it, like a spear or a blade?
Yeah, it was a spear.
A spear tip, right?
Yeah, a spear tip, yeah.
Spear tip to the heart, right? And I get it. He could have won that fight because now he's taking the situation more seriously. And I think he fights better as Black Panther than he does as T'Challa. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He just has a better grip on his abilities that way. Mm-hmm. And they have the Blade 2 scene where they go greet the sunset.
Yeah.
And he's like, we can kind of heal you, dude. Mm-hmm. We can save your life if you want. And Killmonger's like, what, to just enslave me? Or not enslave me, but imprison me?
Yeah.
And keep me here in Wakanda forever in prison? He was like, nah, bro. You can bury me in the ocean with all the with my brothers who jumped from the slave ships because they knew that death was better than bondage. Mm-hmm. And that's the quote that you mentioned at the beginning of the review. Mm-hmm. That was a bit on the nose, but man, did it suck the air out of the theater. Everybody was like, "Whoa,
yeah,
that is the line of the movie." It's the line of the movie. You can't. And Killmonger dies, which is a big problem.
Or does he?
Or I need to hear these. He super dies, dude. Like T'Challa watched him die and just stared at him. That dude can't be floating around in the world. He's too powerful, dude. He's too swagged out. You take the armor from him, you take the chain off his neck, you deactivate, you bury him in the ocean like he wanted to. Let somebody will unearth his body. You have to cremate that fool. And anonymize his, and keep him on an urn in the depths of Wakanda. You can't have him floating around, dude.
Just have the High Evolutionary come and take him.
The High Evolutionary's an asshole. Well, okay, first of all, for those who don't know what the High Evolutionary is, he's the biggest ass pull in Marvel history. So the High Evolutionary is the dude who just sits around and he's like the Island of Dr. Moreau man. He might as well be Sauron. Fucking Sauron. You started something. The High Evolutionary is the dude who watched over, it's really convoluted. So when Magneto was a kid and he escaped, the camps or whatever, he fled to the mountains. And in the mountains, he found a sheep woman or something like that. It was a weird sheep woman. There was a whole, village of animal people. And they were created by the High Evolutionary. And the High Evolutionary's power, if you want to call it that, is that he can pretty much he's the master of manipulating genetics. He can turn anything into anything, which is kind of weird and gross. He's almost like he's like a more powerful Mr. Sinister, which is a whole. I can't get into this right now because when I say a name, then I have to explain that, and it's going to keep going into a giant circle. Hashtag. I'm just going to make this podcast explicit. Hashtag fuck the High Evolutionary. I hate that character so much because he was like because Quicksilver and like Scarlet Witch were raised by the Goat Woman. That's why they were gypsies. And the Goat Woman was reporting to High Evolutionary and like marking their power outputs and shit. I hate the High Evolutionary so much, dude. Anyway, we're moving on. So
don't you love how Theory for Loops?
Yes, I love it. It makes me so mad. I'm gonna go home and draw the High Evolutionary now. Big red bastard. So everything goes back to normal except for T'Challa has a heavy heart because he has to make a big decision. And the decision is that he's going to create an embassy in the world, in the U.S., in Oakland, in California. And he wants his girlfriend, his girlfriend at the time, because they make back up, to be kind of like the peace ambassador in a weird way for Wakanda. And he wants his sister Shuri to help with the transfer of technological information, what to tell them, what not to tell them. Because I'm sure they're not just going to give them full bunch.
No.
They're going to piecemeal that shit. So, and it's based and it's starting at the block pretty much because he bought the block of where his uncle died and where Killmonger was raised, and that kind of is where the movie ends. It ends on a very high note. It ends on an inspirational note where a kid asks him, "Well, who are you?" Yeah, and of course it does the smile. It's Black Panther. Credits, right? And you want to talk about the two stingers?
Yeah, we have to because it's actually super important.
Okay, I'll talk about the second one. You talk about the first one.
I want to talk about the second one. Okay.
Right. We'll talk about them both, but you start. You start with the first one.
So T'Challa, T'Challa is. I think he's from the UN at this point.
He's in front of like the United Nations. Or something.
He's talking about how he wants to make Wakanda more of a productive member to the UN.
Right.
And they basically ask him like, hey, like that's cool and all, and your father was great, but what do you have to offer?
And then he smiles.
He's smiling right before he's gonna say, he's gonna say vibranium. Yeah. But it ends there, and then you go on to the regular credits.
And one thing he says that is very poignant. He says that
oh yes,
do you know the line? Because I don't want to butcher it. It's a good line.
Oh my god,
it's like
I know the general,
the gist of it. It's like it says something like ignorant men build walls,
right?
But leaders build borders, build bridges.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have to have this mind state if we're going to evolve as a people,
right?
As a race of humans on Earth,
right?
And then, of course, the stupid American says, "Well, what a bunch of farmers are going to contribute to the United Nations?"
Right?
And all three of them just look at each other like this idiot. He has no idea. So the second stinger is we open up in a hut in Africa, and these little kids are just staring at something really hard, and they're laughing. And you see the camera shake, and they run out of the hut, and Siri's there. Mm-hmm. It's like, "Well, you guys leaving? You guys messing with him again? Ha ha ha, children!" Mm-hmm. They run out, and walks out is Jesus himself, Sebastian Stan as the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, in full African regalia. He looks so cool. Yeah. His hair is all long, and she's like, "How you feeling?" He's like, "I'm feeling great."
Right.
And it's like it's like, okay, that's cool, but we got so much to teach you. Come on. And that's that stinger where it's like Bucky healed with all the training he had before. On top of that, Wakandan training is a problem. He is going to be a beast.
Yeah, because you also have to remember what the kids call him.
They call him the White Wolf, which has which has Black Panther significance.
Right. He's one of Black Panther's greatest allies.
Yes,
and I think I know the reason they did that.
It makes sense. It combines two characters.
Yeah, it kills two birds with one stone.
Yes.
And then it also drives home the narrative of, T'Challa. T'Challa wanted this man dead.
Yes.
Because he killed his father.
Yes.
Even though it wasn't him who killed his father, it was
the whole situation with Zemo in Civil War.
Yeah, exactly. So, making someone whom first of all, T'Challa, the fact that he even let Winter Soldier stay there to be hidden with him, because he's a worldwide terrorist. He's
a worldwide terrorist, and at the end of the movie, that's not resolved.
Right, exactly.
He's not he's not pardoned on any of the stuff they said he did.
Right.
So he's harboring a fugitive of law to the earth at this point. So that alone is a sign of maturity.
Right.
Nonetheless, them healing him and teaching him their ways to trust him, because at the end of the day, he didn't do it.
Right.
And he was a broken man. You know what I mean? A broken toy. What did the series say? Oh, I have another broken white boy I get to fix. A little throwaway line in the middle of the movie. And like you said, the white wolf is a big, almost like outside spy for Wakanda. And he has a suit and everything. Yeah. So I wonder if they're going to do that in Infinity War.
They probably won't. Because
you
see him in his his Winter Soldier.
But Marvel is weird about that. They will give out weird red herrings, like with Thor Ragnarok. In the trailers, they had him with both of his eyes. Spoiler for Thor Ragnarok. But Thor damages his eye a ton. But so in the movie, in that exact same scene, he doesn't have an eye.
Right.
So Marvel's weird about that. They will change a trailer just so that it's thematically succinct with what people know.
Right.
And it hides what people don't know. Like the original trailer had Captain America running towards the screen in Infinity War, but the trailers now have him with the Wakandan weaponry. Because I'm assuming that Wakanda is going to harbor all of the new Avengers, are the Cap side Avengers from Civil War. They're going to harbor them all, because you see scenes in Infinity War where
they look a lot like Wakanda.
It looks like Wakanda. Yeah. They're in Wakanda putting their stuff together, and probably Siri laughing at their garbage tech. You know, right. So you see Black Widow there. You see Banner there. Now he got there so fast.
You see Michonne.
You see Michonne there.
You see.
It would be stupid for them not to be in the movie, though. Yeah. You think Shuri's going to be in it?
She has to be, man.
She has to.
After those God of War lion fists.
Yeah, she had the God of War lion.
Yeah, man. Like,
she had the Thundercats fist, dog. Yeah, she had the Voltrons. She had the Voltron hands, dude. I was waiting for her to pull out the sword.
Shit was awesome.
So the movie goes off to the weekend, and I'm just floored by this freaking movie. Absolutely floored. Like we talked about earlier, and I wanted to say to the end, but it makes sense to talk about it again, is that this really sets a new bar for comic book excellence. That your movie doesn't have to be serious for people to take it seriously, because this movie had tons of fun in it. Had laughs, it had action. But at the same time, the movie doesn't have to preach, which just doesn't preach. It's represented well through the actions and the tone of the movie. It speaks for itself.
Yep.
It doesn't have to point its finger and say blackity black, black, blackity black. It just does it because that's the nature of the film. The only preachy thing about this entire movie is the Michael B. Jordan line, which is great. Right. It was great with great delivery, but come on. It's pretty on the nose.
Yeah, it's whatever. Anyway,
what are your final thoughts on this bad boy? Like, what did this movie leave you feeling like in regards to where we go from here?
The question was going to be easily answered until you said that. That last
part.
Leave
that part out. Okay. You want to answer that separately? That's fine. How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel as though Marvel, not even Marvel, just that a director like Ryan Coogler can take something so huge and do this with the budget that he had and still make it to where virtually everybody loves this movie.
Except for like the white supremacists who are trying to like bomb and shit. But that doesn't count.
I mean the alt-righters.
The alt-righters.
That had nothing to do with that. That's just them being assholes.
This is assholes being assholes. But the real like consensus of this movie is
normal people, normal sane people.
Yeah.
I haven't met a person who hasn't liked this movie yet.
Like a real human.
Like a real person who's not screwed.
Everyone either they love it or they like it.
Yeah.
No one said, "Oh, that movie's garbage."
Yeah.
I've listened in preparation to this. I like listening to reviews myself. So I listened to a ton of YouTube reviews, and even guys who have problems with. Like, I have problems with this movie. I'm not going to say this is a perfect movie.
No, not at all.
But like you said, given the source material, given the money they had, and given the time that the time frame this movie takes, it's a 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
This isn't a 3-hour bloated exploration. It's a clean 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's a master stroke.
Right.
For someone, this is their third movie.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my next point. Like that gives me a lot of hope.
That gives me so much hope.
Yeah.
That they're gonna let this young man kind of do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And he deserves it.
Yeah.
He's worked hard. Every movie he's done, from Fruitvale Station to Creed, he reinvigorated the Rocky franchise almost effortlessly.
Right.
And you give him actual marketing. You spread the word enough for people to want to go see it, and it's the second best Marvel movie ever made.
Yeah.
And this guy is only getting started.
Right.
He's such a young man. You know what I mean? And he has the right people around him, and he doesn't falter. That's another thing. I'm really happy that Marvel let him make a movie. Because so many studios, Sony, Warner Brothers, Columbia, Fox, they interfere so much with the director's vision that it becomes either the same thing or it becomes something horrible. And they let Coogler do what he wanted to do with the film. And what he did was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's nothing short of beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And funny enough, you reminded me, I don't know why you reminded me of this, but another throwaway line that Shuri says to Everett, and she says something like, "Calm down, colonizer." Yeah, colonizer.
And then there's a funny skit online. There's a funny skit online that I did want to mention before we go. The skit is being the only white guy in the office after seeing, the only white guy in a black office after seeing Black Panther. And there's moments where he's like, there's a black guy getting coffee, and the white guy walks up, like, "Hey, can I borrow some cream?" He's like, "I'm not done with it, colonizer." And he gives him the cream, and he crosses his arms like Wakanda forever. And the white guy's like, "Oh, okay." And then he walks in. He walks into another room, and there's a bunch of guys playing Madden, and all the guys in the back are doing the right? And the white guy walks in, and he's like, "Can I get next?" And one guy says, "There will be no challenge today. There will be no challenge today." And like he's in a meeting, and you have to find this kid. It's so funny. And he tries to say something in the middle of the meeting. They start barking. They go, yeah. He chases him out the room. And when he's gone, he's like, "That was actually a pretty good idea. Yeah, we may have to take that. We have to use that. Get him back in here later." Yeah, we're just messing with him. But this movie's going to change the culture of the world, dude. It already has. Yeah. Like, one part that we haven't talked about, which is kind of on the macro of this film, is the audience that is attracted. When I went to go see this movie, I saw people in their 90s. I saw old African-American men, women, families, classrooms, all races, people dressed up in their best garb, either in suits and ties or in African garb.
Dashikis, yeah.
Dashikis. Yeah. And it was so beautiful. It reminded me when I went to go see Wonder Woman and kind of people watching and seeing grandmas taking their granddaughters to see their representation. If this movie's done anything, is that Hollywood has been shaking up so hard in the last year or so. And this is another shakeup that representation matters. Representation matters 100%. And this is what happens when you let a culture, a people, and a source material, forget all the other stuff. You let a source material breathe on its own. And it's going to shine because this stuff has lasted this long for a reason. These characters have lasted this long for a reason. Spider-Man, Superman, Batman are so iconic because the core values of those characters are timeless. And if you let someone just tell that story without putting your weird little corporate spin on your advertising dollar, on your directorial twang to it, it will be successful. No matter what it is. And that goes for every hero from a D-lister like Moon Knight to Captain America. You let them do it. You let the source material speak for itself, and it will tell the story it needs to tell. And if you take it seriously, it's going to be successful. I can't think of one hero or villain minus like Candyman from the old X-Men 90s run, the big giant guy with the big giant evil face, and he has little arms. He has like a pickaxe or something. Oh God, no! Or maybe a MODOK movie may not work.
No,
Maybe not a
I
MODOK
actually
movie.
hate MODOK.
MODOK's the worst.
I hate him.
See, I triggered you now.
I can't. Just looking at his the stubby little legs just makes me
Just pisses
angry.
you off. His big giant face that's so easily punchable. Oh, geez. So, if you were to rate this movie from 0 to 5, what would you rate it?
5. Okay, no. Okay, let me be realistic. I mean,
I was going to give a different answer.
I'm still on the Black Panther high.
Me too. I'm trying to be subjective.
I'd say 4.7 out of 5.
I was going to go 4.8.
The reason why I say 4.7, excuse me, sorry guys. The reason why I said 4.7 is because what the big thing that really like the thing that was a hit for me, like a hit to the movie's, like overall score
wellness
was killing both Claw and Killmonger.
That was a big problem for me.
But
it's not a nitpick; it's a big problem for me.
Yeah,
I thought we were out of that. It's killing your villains, killing the Joker in the first movie.
Right.
I thought we were out of that.
But other than that, the only other thing that was a problem with it was just the CG.
Yes. And
so,
mind you, this is a 4.7 and 4.8 out of 5. Mm-hmm. Mind you, this movie's damn near perfect.
Yeah. I
have to echo Darren's sentiment here, where it's the killing of the two villains, and I'm going to assume they're dead. Unless Michael B. Jordan just, like you said, the high evolutionary. Was the stack intact? Yeah, his stack was just fine. All right, let's get him another sleeve going. We'll add some technical stuff to it. He won't need the heart-shaped fruit this time. And the graphics, because the graphics were very spotty. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're beautiful, and sometimes it's like, ooh, I can see how far they stretched this out. So for the upcoming films, I'm sure this movie has more than earned its right to get the actual good polish, because there's not going to be a single Jaggy in Infinity War. We know that, right? It's going to be damn near perfect. And I think Black Panther now has earned that right to have that have proper money put towards it.
Right.
Okay. Good times. You feel like you've covered everything you wanted to cover?
I covered everything.
Me too, man. Last question, of course. If you were to make a Black Panther beer, what would it be?
It's definitely got to be a stout.
Black is
gotta be a stout.
Like a negro.
Like a Panther stout. It would have to have a lots of African spices.
Yes.
It would have to come in a vibranium cup.
Yes.
In a vibranium bottle.
Yes.
And it would have to come with, you have to have it with a slice of heart-shaped fruit.
Even if you make it yourself, even if it's just like a pear.
Yep.
Make it in the shape of a heart and eat that shit.
And make it glow.
And after you drink it, you have to bury yourself.
All right, whatever, man. No, I'm good on that.
And once you wake up, you're not. It's the only alcoholic beer that will not make you hungover. It'll actually make you more powerful.
Once you wake up after being buried, you won't. Just kidding. You're not
it's
waking up.
It's like the Serpent and the Rainbow shit, where they bury you,
oh, God.
and you come back as a zombie, but it's reverse. Have you guys seen Serpent and the Rainbow? It's a trip, dude. Don't watch it. That's one thing I won't tell you to do. I don't know why I mentioned it. Serpent and the Rainbow is super screwed up. Oh, man. Where can we find you, Darren?
You can find me on Facebook, Beer Business Bureau. Find me on IG at Beer Business Bureau. You find me on Twitter at BeerB Bureau. And find me on YouTube, Beer Business Bureau.
Get a beer, ladies and gentlemen. Get some cerveza, bro. Down the gullet. Yes, sir. As always, you can find this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and hopefully Spotify one day if they deem us worthy. If we can be let into the Wakandan gates of Spotify, maybe we can finally get in there. As always, I will ask you to please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I want your feedback. I really need it. So if you would just leave a little comment. Did you like this episode? Do you agree with us on any of our points? Did you want to make a point of your own? Let us know. I'm, of course, your host, Mike G, and I will always ask you to look towards the skies.
Oh, one last thing. South African beer is actually really awesome, so definitely do check that out.
Get you some South African beer. Wherever you are in the world, I'm sure you can import it.
Yeah.
And get you some. Off the top of your head, what's a good brand?
Tusker?
Tusker?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to get some of that tonight. Oh man, we're going to crack those open in Wakanda forever, everybody. Wakanda forever. Watch the Wakandan skies. The Wakandan skis.